Productions. Yes, we have a beautiful living statue this afternoon, and we are talking to Joe Pari with 1031 Productions. You might have seen many of their living art at performances around the state at different events. So I'd like to introduce Joe Pari with 1031 Productions. He's right around the corner. Come on in, Joe.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you this afternoon?
Very good. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for joining. So we have a beautiful living performer with us today, and she looks absolutely amazing. Why don't you tell us about this?
This is a part of our human nature line, if you will. So we have our human statues and human nature. And this is our gold tree. We have 3 of these in our collection. They're great for kind of fantasy events or enchanted gardens, also perfect for 50th anniversaries of corporations or even your own 50th.
Oh, I love that. So you have been, and she was brave enough to come and be in our window today. We've had so many people just stop and kind of take pictures and look around. So 1031, you've been around for some time and so notable around the state, and you've been at productions everywhere. Just recently, I liked this one on your Facebook page. Benjamin Franklin performed at Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts.
Yeah.
You've collaborated with the Obama White House administration, the Barbara Bush Foundation, Harvard University, the Red Sox.
Yep.
I mean, the list goes on and on, even at the U.S. Open. And not to mention all the numerous events locally. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about the production company and a little bit about the history as well?
Absolutely. Well, all of that came from one magical evening where my business partner and I, Eric, went down to Waterfire, unannounced to Waterfire, and we made some very rudimentary gargoyle costumes, and we went down and sat alongside the riverbanks, and we, within just a few minutes, caused a traffic jam on the walkway, which caught the attention of the Waterfire organizers. So they came over and whispered in my ear, "We love what you're doing, but next time call."
Yeah.
And so from that really grew, 17 years later, this massive collection of costumes, hundreds of costumes, and all of which were custom orders by our clients at one time. So you had mentioned Harvard. They came to us for several celebrations that the university was doing about 10 years ago, celebrating the university's beginning and also the birthday of John Harvard. So they commissioned us to come in, do a study of the actual statue that's on the green, and then we replicated it in a living form.
That's so cool. So, and you've grown so much over,
Yes,
we were chatting a little bit. You've grown, you started just as this small organization. You've grown so much. Talk to us a little bit about what the process has been like from starting as, to, as you said, rudimentary gargoyles to growing into numerous branches.
Well, we started really working out of our own houses to begin with, out of our basements and taking over our living spaces as well. Then we found our first studio, which was in Pawtucket. We've had 4 studios since, all in Pawtucket, but we're most proud of our new studio, which is on the banks of the Blackstone River, right next to City Hall, 249 Roosevelt Avenue. And it's been our dream to be able to have a studio and an event space that we can host not only our own events, which are fantastic, like the Night at the Haunted Museum, which will be coming up in October, which is the second year for that. We kicked it off last year. But it's also rentable, so you can have a really cool party right within our studio and then bring in all of our characters to create your very unique own interactive party right here in Rhode Island.
That's so fun. So how did you think of these different characters? How many characters do you have? And really, how do you keep thinking of them?
It's hundreds of characters and wine. I think wine often helps.
Yeah.
No, we always...
Helps with everything, doesn't it?
Eric and I have a lot of ideas that we always want to bring forth. And we wait for the right proposals or the right events to bring those forward. But really, people come to us often with an idea, with a concept. And what we like to do is literally and figuratively bring that to life for them. So it's really kind of like starts with a conversation with the client about like what it is that they want to achieve, what they're really looking to do at their event, whether it's their wedding or their birthday celebration, or if it's a big corporation like Pepsi-Cola that wants to come in and really create a really cool experience for their employees. So we start with them, and we start with that conversation, and then we start pulling these ideas and saying, well, we've always thought about doing this. We could probably apply this in this way to this particular event. For a long time, we've been wanting to create a jellyfish puppet. Which is a really cool, it's a woman in this gorgeous costume, and she's operating these 3 jellyfish. You can see the video on our Facebook page. And that came along with a great project that we did for the New Bedford Whaling Museum to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Lagoda whaling ship. So we suggested that piece for them, which we created, but we also were able to create a really interesting dance piece. We have a new dance company in our group called Metamorphosis, and we created a story around that ship so that we had a trio of dancers, one symbolizing the ship itself, one symbolizing a whale, and one symbolizing a whaler. And so there was that tension, that beautiful story that we could tell in a different way than from our regular living art pieces, which has been another big transition for the company, is that we've really moved into these live action characters. So now we have the storybook versions of Alice in Wonderland and the Wizard of Oz, which we just did for the American Heart Association, and we'll be doing their party again this year. So that's a fantastic cause, fantastic party. We love being able to really bring their vision, but also tell their story of what they're really trying to do in terms of giving people courage to come and deal with some issues that they might have.
And do you think, just sticking along that lines of storytelling, do you think being able to bring that art form and now going into this new sector where you're able to have that living story, do you think that's just giving you a whole new element into future productions?
Yeah, it was an area where, we weren't initially comfortable going. It was really, Eric and I were doing these living statues, and we slowly built that, working with friends. Now we have over 60 people in our group. We're looking for male performers, so if you are, please contact us, and if you're interested in performing with us. But the great thing is that we've been able to, now that we do have actors, we can give this sort of live action experience where they're talking and it's fully interactive, but we still are doing our traditional forms of work. So we work with all people. You don't have to have a real strong background in theater or dance to really sort of step forward and try to express your own creativity in our work.
That's what I was going to say, is what does it take to be a good performer to work with 1031 Productions? What do you look for?
Yeah, commitment first, really, but seriousness, because we really do pride ourselves in being an art business, and so there's a lot of talk about how do you do how do you merge the two? How do you do your payroll and then also be an artist?
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to set ourselves apart by being extremely professional. So first we need commitment and professionalism, and then we need to be brave and for people to really try something that they didn't, or give themselves the time to do what we're doing. And it works very much like a modeling agency. So most of our performers have other jobs. They might be in a creative field, they might not, but they join the roster and then they get booked for the pieces that are appropriate according to their availability too.
I think that it would be so difficult doing something like this. People are coming up to you, people want to take pictures, and just being able, and looking at some of the characters you have. Tony and I were talking, going back to the gargoyles, maybe, I don't know what generation of gargoyle that you're on right now, but just holding certain positions and being able to stay still or to not break character, put in any kind of situation, it has to be tough. And also to be brave, I like that,
Yeah, it is tough. It is challenging work. That's part of it. I always say, it's hard to do a tightrope walk, I imagine, too. It's like, it is.
I'm not brave enough to try that.
Me neither. So, but it is about a lot of concentration, a lot of focus. Preparing the body. We have all of our techniques that we teach our performers on how to hold your body to minimize issues or minimize cramping. But we always also send a performer with a producer and support staff. So we never send a performer alone. There's always someone by them to make sure that they're okay, that no one's bothering them, that they have everything that they need, so that they can be in their professional bubble, in their performance bubble, if you will, so that they can really concentrate on what's important, which is staying focused, like you said, and really getting into that character. And we love teaching that to people. And 1031 will often sponsor different types of workshops with kids. And part of this new move is that we launched a nonprofit arm called Revel Factory. That's REVEL. And it's a place that we're creating that offers sort of a safe place for people, non-creative and creative, to just explore and participate in all types of art, really, storytelling, dance, movement, you name it. We're really proud of a new program that we're launching called the Mirror Collective, where we're working with high schools and nursing homes to learn about the stories that these people have and some of these long-term care facilities, but then bring those stories to life in one way or another. Maybe that's through spoken word or dance or through a living art sculpture.
Which is so amazing. And giving, for high school kids, when I found out about this, the Mirror Collective, giving high school aged people, I shouldn't say kids, the opportunity to give themselves an outlet in this creative space. And
have it be transgenerational too.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you can actually apply for this program, right?
Correct, yeah. And Rebel Factory has its own page, but really if you go to wemakepretend.com, that's sort of the main hub for everything right now, and you can find your way through that, or you can simply just email info@wemakepretend.com and someone will be in touch with you.
Yeah, and then your Facebook page has all kinds of good information, website, all that kind of stuff, and then you can gawk at all the amazing pictures and videos and whatnot, and check everything out. Before we get into some other stuff, do you have a favorite character that's developed over the years?
Yeah, I do. Well, favorites, I guess.
Favorites, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the gargoyle will always be near and dear to my heart, and Waterfire's starting soon, so we're really looking forward to that. We'll be there on Friday. And one of my favorite experiences is riding the boats that are lighting and being on the bow of the ship as a gargoyle. It's a magical experience. I love doing the Buddha. It's another great piece to do. It's a gold piece like this, and you really do have to be very focused and get into your Zen state to do that piece as well. But it's really important. All of us are performers. All of us, either even if you're a producer or support, at one time you were also really performing. So Eric, my business partner, also still performs. And I think it's really important that we do that we still really are part of the group.
And you're really touching base with people out there, and you're interactive but not interactive in a way.
Yeah, totally.
Talk to me about, you have this event space, but it's also your production space. You have everything all there, and you're all in Rhode Island, which I think is so neat, even though you're working really in all parts of the country, all parts of the world, which is fantastic. That's all staying right here in Rhode Island, which is such a creative space. Talk to me just about the opportunities that people have to come in and see what you're doing there.
Well, again, this is part of the reason why we launched the nonprofit, because 1031 was sponsoring a lot of these workshops, and it was difficult for us to do that in addition to everything else. So we formed a board, and where it's very grassroots right now and sort of getting up and going. But that is one way to sort of experience an extension of us. But it's also very separate and different. So it's allowing us to kind of explore in more general ways too. Then, as I mentioned, you have the event space within it, which is a cool, you often hear the term like black box. We have a white box. So it's a really cool industrial space that you can really transform into anything that you want, with the addition of some of our 1031 characters there. In that space, we have our creation studio. So we do, like you mentioned, fabricate everything here in Rhode Island. We try to source a lot of our stuff locally as well. So we are also employing other artisans to come in and work with us besides the performers. And then attached to that is the costume closet, if you will, which is, a 2,000 square foot closet.
That's
the entire studio is about 6,000 square feet. And we offer, 1031 offers tours to come in. And so we work with a lot of regional tour companies that are coming to the city of Providence. Perhaps you're planning on coming to the city for Waterfire, and you can have a unique experience where you come to our studio ahead of time for kind of a behind-the-scenes look at where the performers are going to be getting ready, the costumes up close and personal. We like to make a little selfie station. You can actually put on some of the headpieces that we make so that you can really see what it kind of takes to wear some of this stuff. And I mean, we love to give an informative tour that's not just about us, but about where our creative process comes from, but really sort of hoping to be able to teach other people ways to open themselves up to hear that creative message, because I truly believe that we are all creative. And I don't care if you're working in, as an accountant or a computer programmer, we all need to know creative ways of thinking. And it's all the same. It doesn't matter if you're trying to solve an accounting problem or a computer problem, or how are you going to engineer this headpiece so that it fits everyone in your group. And that's what we really like to kind of instill in people. So that's another wonderful opportunity to do. And then we also go out to schools to give presentations very similar to that, or corporations who are looking for another. And then also be inspired by that, but also inspired by our creative process, and maybe that will help them transform something in their life.
Did you ever think that you would have art as a business and a successful business?
No, I mean, it really became out of a passion that Eric and I had. So, little secret, if you didn't know, 1031 is, a date.
Oh.
Halloween.
Oh,
so,
and that's where it came from.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's our love of Halloween, and costume making is really all we ever thought. I mean, I like to joke that we were just going down there. We were in our separate careers.
I feel like I should know this.
Right?
Like, why did I did enough homework.
Don't feel bad. No, that's what I love about it. That when the bell goes or the light goes on, it's like, oh, now I get it. But don't worry about it. We have people that worked with us for a long time that they finally, and then they're like, oh God, I can't believe I never knew that. But that's where it just came out of the love of making pretend and dressing up and costume making. So. It had never been a thought of ours that we'd be here 17 years later with this huge business and this giant costume collection and the most amazing group of performers that whenever I talk about them, I start to get a little choked up because they're truly family, they're truly amazing. And no, so the answer to that is no. We did not ever think that this would happen.
And when you get tours coming in, I think that's so incredible. Being able to add that second element is bringing in, so you have, substantial people do come here for Waterfire,
right.
the Providence, the creative capital, but then adding in that second element, are people surprised and say, I haven't seen anything like this before, I haven't seen a company like this before, because you do get performers, you go to Vegas and you see people dressed up and whatever.
But to see it, to actually see the organization of it,
exactly.
That's what I'm talking about, sort of like the artist and the business, so the right side of the brain, the left side of the brain. So it is a really fun, like the tour, I love the tours because, we do have people coming in from out of state, Connecticut or other areas, and when you start to tell the story, they're also experiencing a performer transform themselves. So they're actually seeing a person putting on their makeup and getting dressed and getting into this character that they can then take a photo with afterwards. So, but yes, I think that when they come in and they see how the studio is organized, and then they see the actual collection in front of them, and how do we get it out, and what happened, the washing it, the disinfecting it, putting it back into the system. That is like insanely interesting when you actually see it and you're like, wow, okay.
How do I make this a real thing?
Right, yeah.
Do you think that this would have survived, or you would have been able to put this into a full-blown business anywhere else?
No, I don't think so, because it really started at Waterfire. I mean, it really came from this whim. I mean, we did have, who knows? But, it's because that was there, and we did it on a whim, and we went down there. That sort of started to incubate the whole thing. And I think, the businesses were into it, and we're looking for something else to do, and it was all part of that. Around that 2000 time, the whole city was really transforming. And it's a completely different place and we're Rhode Island natives also. So, and a lot of our performers are Rhode Island natives, and a lot of us went to Rhode Island College. And I know everyone thinks that we went to RISD, but we went up to Rhode Island College. And as did a lot of our performers who went to local schools. So I love that our roots are here, and I love that now that we're in the downtown core of Pawtucket, even though this is our fourth studio and we've always landed in Pawtucket, now that we're in the downtown arts district, there's an amazing amount of synergy. The mayor has been spectacular there. And so, Rhode Island is just a great small community, and I think it was a great nest, if you will, for this to kind of incubate and be born from.
And such a supportive arts community as
Absolutely.
well. Joe, it's been so great talking with you. This has been wonderful. We really appreciate it. 1031 Productions, more information on their webpage, and we'll have links as well if you're interested in any of the programs that they have. You've been beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Such a great performance. I don't know how any of your performers hold and train, but you said you have all the training and so on. So before the two of you go, I'd like to snap a picture of all of us together, and then I'll get one of you two as well.